So what's going on, guys? It's Bennett from Parker Baits and welcome back to another video, another Sunday upload here at the Parker Baits YouTube channel. So something a little bit special this weekend coming for you. So what we're going to do is obviously we talk and you see the catch reports going up on the Parker Baits socials day in, day out. But won't it be nice to go around, we're actually at Linear Fisheries at the moment, and sort of recap on some of the captures that people using Parker Bait, or anglers using Parker Baits up and down the country, going into depth with their rigs, the bait, how they've approached it, location, etc. We're going to go over all of it in this video and obviously touch on the Parker Baits products as well. So join us for the next, quite a short video, but for the next 20-30 minutes, we're going to go into the bivvies, speak to the customers and see exactly what they're doing. So sit back, before we start this video, give us a thumbs up, make sure you comment down below, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos going forward, because boy, have I got an absolute banger coming your way. So as promised, we wanted to touch around the lake and go over a couple of key people around the lake. And if you haven't seen these two gentlemen before, where have you been on the internet? Two YouTubers, Carp Interest, you joined me with Pete and Liam, and what a channel they've got. So in a second, we're gonna have a chat with Pete and his capture at Coking Farm, and what a moment it was, and we'll touch on that in a second. But before we do that, lads, if you don't mind touching on, what is your channel about, and sort of what you sort of show on your YouTube channel? It would be very interesting for the viewers.
Yeah. Bang average carp anglers, to be honest with you, is what we pride ourselves on. We're no frills, no nonsense. We do it because we love it. And
basically started up about 4 or 5 years ago.
Is that how long you've been doing it now? Quite a while.
Properly about 2 years, but
Yeah.
we started filming about 5 years ago, and it was just, if we look back at the videos now, you can tell.
Yeah.
Started 5 years ago, but because I did video on my side job, I just thought I'd bring it into the fishing, and that's how we get these kind of videos. But sometimes it puts pressure on us because people see these videos in 4K and they say, why are these two people fishing? Like, why aren't there any better fishermen? But
Yeah, no,
because there's two of us on the camera on the bank. But
absolutely love that. So there it is, and I'm going to say it, I'm terrible, but a little bit of a taste in your mouth. I've got to stop saying that because I said it in the previous vlog, but if you haven't seen these two gentlemen, make sure you go over. Their full YouTube channel is at the top of the screen now, but now we're going to have a chat with Pete and go over Coking Farm. Right, well, I'm not going to lie, I've been waiting to sit down with Pete for a long time because it was a magical moment, mate, when you had that fish. I remember getting a phone call, I think it was my brother called me one afternoon, I think it was, when I actually got wind of you catching it. I was like, oh my God, he's only went and caught the biggest fish at Coking Farm, or one of the biggest fish at Coking Farm. So let's reverse back in time, mate. What happened? Was it in the morning? Was it in the evening? How did it happen? Were you there for a couple of days? Did you have any fish prior to that? Talk to me, mate, because I'm really interested.
trying to recap on the session then, obviously me and Liam, as you know, went to Coking Farm.
Yeah.
We started off the session, it was quite slow. Liam started to catch more fish as he does than me. He got a couple of ghost carp in there.
Very good angler.
I caught a couple of catfish. We started to lose out, didn't we? It was a bit sunny, temperature started to rise, so we thought, oh, we'd been to the shop and back, we're just procrastinating really.
So what lake was it? What's the lake?
Oak Lake.
Oak Lake, Coking Farm. And what peg were you in?
Peg 23, I believe it was. Yeah, so that's what happened. We kind of lost a bit of hope because we started to slow down on the bites. Then I thought I'd change to a little 7-inch boom, turbo germ rig, put an OG fish on because I got the most trust in that. And literally cast it out, and all I did was just fire OG fish bally over the top.
So straight up over the top.
Yeah,
so that's interesting with a catapult, I'm guessing. So not too heavy baiting, just a little bit of baiting.
Constant, but little and often.
Okay, interesting. Did you use much bait throughout the duration or not really?
No, mainly just catapulting.
That's
yeah.
interesting.
We was using a bait boat originally.
Nice.
And then I was getting a catfish, so I was thinking they was coming in and getting a big bait off the area. So I then decided, right, get rid of the bait boat.
Yeah.
I'm going to cast it over and I'm going to fire boards over it, a bit of a spread. So.
Nice.
And then it was in about what? Would you say, Lee? About barely that long.
Right.
And then literally
morning, afternoon?
Late afternoon.
Late afternoon.
Yeah.
Right. So the light was out as well. So good light for pictures, or
just
not really?
About 3 o'clock. Good lighting. And the rod's gone off anyway. I'm playing it. I've shouted Liam, I got a fish, but when I've struck into it, it's fairly shallow.
Yes, it is.
I've seen a tail come out of the water, a big tail. And then I thought, oh, another catfish, so I'm kind of getting him in, like, hey, got a catfish on, and he's come over the camera. And he was trying to fix the camera, get the audio, and it weren't working, was having a bit of an issue. And then by the time I got a bit closer, I was in the back of a carp. And that's when I said to Liam, right, Liam, put the camera down, get the net, we need to land this because this is an absolute unit.
What a moment.
The knee started going anyway. Yeah. I've dragged it over the net, Liam's netted it and literally looked back at me and just gone, what have you just done? And then I knew something special had just happened.
So what was going through your head the moment you've both looked down and you've seen this absolute nosser, like a foot long in front of you, the width of it when I say that, what was going through your head at that point? Like you said, did you know it was the Lin at the time when it was in front of you or not? Or?
So originally I thought Liam was having me on because I would walk back and Liam had netted it and I wanted to let him look at it first. I knew it was big, I didn't know what kind of fish it was, and he kind of looked back at me and was just like, do you know what you've just done? And I kind of thought, is he having me on here? But I knew it was a big fish, and then he went, it's the big Lin. And at the time, I wasn't sure the size of the big Lin. I knew it was in the 40s.
Oh, mate, I'm shaking now. Look, yeah. That's not put on. It's making me shake, you just talking about it. What a moment. Sorry, carry on, mate.
Literally, he said, it's the big Lin. I thought, oh, I've got a 40, you know. And anyway, I'm like, oh, I've got a 40, I've got a 40. And he's gone, mate, you ain't got a 40, you nearly got a 50. That last come out at 48 pounds something. And that's when I started going, right, that's it then. We sat there for about 20 minutes, like trying to sort everything out. My head was just gone. Like, I thought, I didn't think I'd ever catch a UK 40 if I'm honest. We only fish six times a year, 8 times a year.
Unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable. So you got your pictures, you slipped it back, and yeah, what a magical moment. Almost like the king of the lake, isn't it? That fish, to a degree.
On the way there, if you'd said which one do you want, it would have been the big Lin. Purely because, not of its size, but it's absolutely stunning, the fishes.
Yeah, what a magical moment. And just before we finish, I'm going to end it up on this. So, obviously, you had that on an OG Fish wafter. OG Fish, I'm guessing, was put over the top of it.
Yeah,
14s or 18s?
Mix, a bit of a mix.
So you can fish that match of the hatch, it's going to bleed the same. But I go, so what have you been fishing with recently then? You turn around, I said, I've not really been using them recently. So what have you got in this jar here then, mate?
So that's actually the OG fruit and nut.
Yeah.
But what I've done is I've soaked it in the flat spot and the bait spray, and I let it manifest for a couple of weeks.
They do smell, absolutely. They smell naughty, to be fair. So a match of the hatch, fruit and nut, something like a little bit different, and something that's been doing the bites over the OG fish recently for you, mate. You mentioned to me earlier.
It's like I can't not catch a fish when I got one of them on. Unfortunately, here with the crayfish, it's hard to get them on and use them throughout the night. So we're trying to master up a bait that doesn't get teared apart. But before this, like I say, a couple of years ago, before I'd met yourselves and Parker Baits, I was usually like a 30-pound carp, one a year. Yeah. Happy days. Yeah. But literally last year when I started using these and the baits, I think I had 6 30s and a 48. And I've only fished 8 sessions. Mate, you know what? I'm going to shake your hand. I want to say well done on the captures and thanks for being a part of Parker Baits, supporting me and my brother. You're a massive part of Parker Baits, mate. From the bottom of my heart, it truly means the world to me and my family. You supporting it on your YouTube channel as well and help us move to new heights. And there it is, guys. Pete and Liam, if you haven't seen these two gentlemen, make sure you go over, like I've mentioned already, and check out their YouTube channel. And thanks again for a bit of time with you, mate. Obviously, really appreciate it. Glad to be a part of the brand. Amazing bait.
Thank you. So there it is, Carp Interest, guys. Mr. Ben Lambert, you join me with him right now on B2, and he's made a naughty little bag and a very, very sharp hook pointing out of it. So, mate, talk us through exactly what you've done, what you've got in there, the magic of your little creation that's just taken you a couple of minutes to whip that up. Talk to me, Benny boy.
Well, everyone knows solid bags are absolutely devastating on the right day, and especially over B2 and B1 and a lot of the lakes over at Linear, they're an absolutely devastating method, but I time a little bit differently. I utilise a lot of boilie crumb within the solid bags, as well as maggot. I feel like when you're adding liquids to a bag, sometimes it just disperses too quick, so when you're adding with boilie crumb that's slightly more porous, would you say?
Yeah,
it takes on liquids
better. But got a little bit of moisture within. So this is OG Fish 40 mils. I see you sat there very strategically crushing them all up, very fine, Ben. So
yeah, the finer you get them, the better, because you don't want your hook point to go in them. And the reason why the hook is outside of the bag is so that it doesn't go on the maggots as well.
Very clever, very clever. Now, it's not something I do myself, but each to their own, and that seems to work for Ben. But I love the concept there, mate, and it's not something I see very often. We were watching Jay earlier tie his bags, and he normally puts a little bit of magic dust or some dust at the bottom of the bag and then the hook point, which is something I've done. But I love that, mate. Like you said, you're completely eliminating any problems in a very classy way of fishing. Now, you've made that bag very small and tight. You've got a little bit of maggot in there, you've got some pellet. Obviously the little bit of crumb as well. And I noticed, so hook bait, and how have you tied that then, mate? What have you done there with the actual hook bait? Because I noticed you had a very short link, didn't you?
Yeah, so the link's about 4 inches. I would even go smaller, just depending on what sort of bags I'm using, but 4 inches is where I'm comfortable with. I've got a small magic bean in there, one of the mini magic beans.
Orange, did I see? Was it?
Yeah, orange. I don't go anywhere without the orange magic beans. They just seem to catch everywhere. And yeah, topping it with about 10 maggots, and that's just threading the maggots onto a sewing needle, onto some bait thread, and then just tying it onto the hair. So there's no rig rings, there's no nothing. It's just a simple hair rig with yeah, magic bean and a few maggots on the top. So as simple as it gets, really. But the boilie crumb's definitely an edge, and when you're injecting liquids into it as well, that boilie crumb really does soak it in and yeah, leave you with a brilliant parcel of attraction.
Definitely a different take on a PVA bag, and nice to see everybody's concept. Like I said, everybody's different. That's what I love about fishing. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. You can bring your own concept into your PVA bags or whatever that may be, which sort of brings me on to the next thing, spring around the corner. And sort of especially that mid sort of part of the year, me and you, Ben, we love a bit of floater fishing, don't we? Love a bit of floater fishing. Let's recap on B1 going into last year, mate. What happened? Talk us through it, and then maybe we'll go over some rigs after this, and you can tie the concept of what we were catching on. I'll leave it to you, mate.
It was just mental. We just hit it right at the right time, didn't we? It was actually the day before a social, weren't it? Yeah. So there was about 4 or 5 of us lads. We all come down there, found some fish in a corner, and it's simple as we
and a lot of them.
There was a lot of them. Obviously, in B1, you've got so many different like pods of fish, but this was like a mega pod, wasn't it? There was
and
hundreds.
Big fish as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see 30-pounders heads coming out of the water and smashing the Parker Baits mixers when they were just having it.
I've never seen carp so keen for a mixer in big numbers as well. It reminded me of Thailand a little bit. I was only a few months after Thailand, weren't it?
Yeah.
And so seeing them monsters come out and then doing the same thing, but on B1, it was so funny, wasn't it?
So what Ben's getting at there, we called it bubble bashing, mate, didn't we? So if you haven't seen this, gentleman, I'll bring you back to when myself and Ben went to Thailand, and Emma as well, and I had probably one of the best trips of my life, if I'm honest. Emma got me for a treat, went over, and Ben was actually doing the, what would you say, like marshalling or?
The guide, yeah.
The guide over there, sorry, a guide.
Fishing guide, yeah.
And to be honest with you, Ben sort of took me under his wing, showed me the concept over, and it was like bubble bashing, but a little bit different. What we were doing is just putting water in the bubble and actually waiting for it to hit the bottom. But
yeah, it was slow sinking. It was basically a pellet waggler in a way, like spomming pellet and yeah, catching them on the drop. But
100-pounders plus we had as well, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a crazy trip. That was a crazy trip. And it was funny because we kept talking about this one fish in there that goes over 150 pound. And then I think it was the final fish.
Yeah, so I sat down, you were like, mate, I'm done, didn't you? And I walked out to the front. I goes, I'm just going to have one more. And I actually sat cross-legged on the end of the platform. And I've cast this rod out and I'm counting because it was dark at the time. So you were counting, the concept was it was about 11 to 12 seconds.
Yeah, and then you get a bite.
And then it was like 9, 10, 11. You'd feel the line pull up on your hand, pull away from you. I'm like, Ben, I'm in. He's like, you haven't, Ben, you haven't. It was a moment, wasn't it? We got it up. We had this fish up for a second and it got away, didn't it? If I'm honest.
Well, even during that fight, it took you around the corner. I had to swim out and grab the fish. It was probably my favourite fishing memory. Yeah. It was absolutely unreal.
And you had some big mememories over there as well, mate, with your own fishing as well. Like you had some monsters.
Yeah, caught some incredible fish. But really crazy trip. But going back to B1.
Yeah, so we were now fishing on the top now.
We were now fishing on the top, but it was as crazy because there was like this mega pod of like 100 fish and 30-pounders just absolutely troughing these Parker Bait mixers like no tomorrow. And yeah, it was just one after the other. I think, didn't we have like 830s in the net?
7 or 830s in 2 hours. Again, I'll put this up on the screen now. You can see it with your own eyes. You know, we had fish in every net. It was just, little Lukey was there, didn't we?
Yeah.
So he had a little go and there was a big moment for him. He had a PB, didn't he, of over 30 pounds?
The 35 I had, or 34 I had, was on his rod because I whipped it out there. We was all taking turns. It was really good.
Yeah.
Really good. And it's nice when like you get that bit of camaraderie because I feel like it's lost in fishing now sometimes. But having like everyone around, everyone just taking turns, using each other's rods, spomming for each other. It was really, really, really good. Yeah,
working together as a team, that's what's fishing all about. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to pass you over to Ben and he's going to go over how he fishes on top, the hook bait and the background behind it. So that's definitely going to be interesting.
Right, so as we were just talking about, we had that crazy session on B1 and this was the rig that we was using. This is a large interceptor float. These are brilliant. I'd always recommend going heavier because it acts like a bolt when you are fishing on the top. You can see I've got a small anti-tangle sleeve there and I've cut the swivel off of the swivel that comes with this set, and that is just so then the anti-tangle sleeve can sit nicely over the swivel. We've got some 10-pound floater line on there as well. It's very, very important that you use a clear line because you're going to be fishing up in the layers and you really want everything to be as inconspicuous as possible. I've got a size 8 there, but you can go down to a size 10 if they're finicky, or if they're really having it, you can go up to a size 6. It's not really a problem, just see what it's like on the day, but I always like a size 8. And then on the hair there, we've got a trimmed down OG Fish pop-up. They was absolutely smashing the daylights out of B1 last year, but you can always use different hook baits. Some days they are having it so much you can put a fluoro on and they're going to be having it, but always start with a match the hatch when you start fishing, because that's going to be when they're finickiest. So that's how we was fishing. It caught so many fish on that day, and I think we must have had about 8 or 9 30-pounders in the net at one time between about 6 or 7 of us. So yeah, it can be deadly in the right situations, and that is how we go about things.
Now, a little bit further down from Ben, you join me now with Laura, and a face that I would imagine you've seen on our socials before. You're always out and about, mate, and you're with the other half, catching loads of nossa pigs, and yeah, really exciting me. I'm quite excited to have a quick chat with you, because also it was a massive factor for Parker Baits last year because we helped support what you were doing. Do you mind touching on that? Massive thing for the ladies.
Yeah, you
massive.
supported us big time in the Welsh Championships in Latvia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we went out there, pile of bait off there, and we done well. We come 8th, I think it was.
Yeah.
But we caught some cracking fish. So yeah.
And you can send a rod, mate, can't you? You truly can. She's like, yeah, I'm good for X amount of wraps.
It have been hard on this session because the wind have been hitting me, but the 3 rods out on 30 wraps. So.
Right. So next up for me, though, I'm going to put you on it now. So going in, so obviously we've just touched on the ladies' championships, but let's touch on what's happening going into this year. So what you're doing, because I'm sure you're doing it again, right?
Yeah.
So talk me through.
So we done the trials back in September.
Yeah.
And then the girls then got through. We got the Tri-Nations now up in...
So it's been, you qualified, you're into the next bit already?
Yeah.
Happy days.
Up Gwynedd Lakes, I want to say it is.
Okay.
The Tri-Nations.
English lake, or overseas lake?
Our lake. Welsh.
Welsh lake, okay.
So we are hosting it. You've got the England squad, the Scotland squad, and us.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the Tri-Nations that we hold. And then after that, then it's the World Championships in Italy.
Big moment, mate, for you. And here at Parker Baits and as a family, we truly wish you all the best, mate. And I'm sure you're going to smash it. You don't need me to back you up. I'm sure you're going to go over there and hold your own like you did at the last one and smash it to living bits over there. Fingers crossed.
Bit more knowledge of this year, so I've done it once now. So
you're learning every time. But then we've said this before, Laura. I don't know if it was with yourself, but that's what I love about fishing. You never know everything. Every time you go out, me personally, I'm learning something else. Or
exactly, yeah.
You see someone do something, you think, oh, that was clever. You've done that. I'm going to pull my hook out of the bag on my PVA or whatever it may be. So
yeah, that's what I did all that.
Yeah, I do. Oh, look at this.
It just holds it in places.
Look at that. So we've just went up for Ben, and I've not really seen that before. And Laura does it as well. So she's made a lovely bag there.
I've just put a TikTok video up of it.
You know what?
And the products.
We'll put that up on the screen now. We'll put that on the screen right now. You can check it out. But just talking through, what have you got in front of her? What have you got in front of you now?
Just a basic A-rig.
Basic hair rig. Is it a blowback?
Yeah.
And what size hook is that?
Size 6.
Size 6. You like keeping it sort of clean and simple, mate, don't you? We've sort of spoke before, not sort of changing things up too much.
Not too much, no. Especially like they're on the bottom feeding at the moment with people catching. So like to keep it nice and natural looking on the deck.
Yeah. So just finishing off there on that, the actual hook bait, is that a 40mm hardened hooker?
Yep.
So we've got, there we are. So we've got some 40mm harder hookers there from Parker Baits. We offer these in a 14 and an 18. And is that one of your go-tos, or do you prefer wafters? What's your sort of go-to hook bait? Talk to me.
I like an hard hooker, and I like the fruit and nut. If I in between that and the fruit and nut, like in my solid bag, I have got the fruit and nut. Sorry, that one.
So we've got the fruit and nut here, and obviously the OG fish and the 14mm. So there it is. A little bit on Laura. It's quite nice to get a lady involved because it's a very male-dominated sport, isn't it?
It is, love. Yes, girls can do it too.
So here she is. And what I'll do is I'll put all of her socials up on the screen right now. Now we've moved on to B1 and you join me with James, Kent Carp Fishing. Now, this is a massive elephant in the room. Now, if you are not on the TikTok platform, you must go over, because this gentleman, and I don't know if you like me saying this, mate, but you are the king of TikTok. Wow. You truly are, mate. When it comes to carpy content or fishing content, if you type that in TikTok and your name is not coming up, then someone's probably doing something wrong, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mad journey. I'm fairly new in the grand scheme of things to carp fishing, and if you go back 6-7 years ago, you had Carl and Alex who really had the monopoly on like YouTube.
I agree.
And they were putting out so much educational content for new anglers, and I learned a lot from that. And I'm a little bit older now, and as I started to kind of really enjoy the sport, I thought, what can I do to give back? So I started up a TikTok channel, but it wasn't with any intention to provide any education or entertainment. It just kind of, a couple of videos just blew up. So I thought, what can I do? And what I came up with was the idea that I could provide some entertainment, some education,
do that,
and I still don't know where it's going. It's something that's kind of just organically becoming something, and I've got no kind of real goals with it, but if I can put something out there that can help people learn how to tie a certain rig, or put line through tubing, or how to attach a lead to a lead clip, because let's be honest, we can all take it for granted of how to do certain things.
I agree, and I think people throw the word out there, James, as well. I don't know if you agree. It's like, oh, you're a noddy. Well, no, they've just not been shown. They've not been given the concept of how to tie a PVA bag, or like you said. And I love your videos, by the way, when you're sat there and you're like tying a magic beam rig and stuff. But like you said, and I totally agree, there's that sort of humour element in there. But for people starting carp fishing, this is the perfect channel. Or TikTok, should I say, because you can go over and you can sit there and watch one of your little tutorials and take it all in. One massive thing we haven't spoke on, mate, is how many followers do you have on TikTok?
I think we've just tipped 95,000. So yeah, it's absolutely mind-blowing.
95,000 followers on TikTok. That completely blows my mind, and fair play to you.
And
mate.
all I ever use is my phone. I've never picked up a camera. Everything I record is through my phone, the front camera, the back camera.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that anybody who's willing to put a bit of effort in and is dedicated, and consistency is key.
Is it? Is that the thing?
Consistency is key. Just record something. If you don't think it's going to be very good, just post it anyway.
Right, okay,
you just never know. Sometimes the videos I put less effort into are the ones that blow up. Sometimes the ones I spend a bit more time, they don't really go too far.
So you advise getting people to make a TikTok then?
Yeah, definitely. Just have a bit of fun with it, really. Just share your experience and share the love. And sometimes you might put a video out which you might take something for granted of how to use, bait floss.
Yes.
And someone who's never used bait floss before, they might be scrolling through, they come across this video, and guess what? That's knowledge now that they can absorb, and they know for next time.
I love that.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of people, maybe you're watching this and you think TikTok's primarily for the younger generation, where you would be very wrong.
I thought that to begin with.
It's everybody watches TikTok. I know I've got customers our end that ring up that are in excess of 60 years old, and they're turning around and saying, mate, we love the TikTok, we love what you're doing, but just as a general, it's just a great platform to be on. It truly is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also as well, I mean, sort of working off what you've said there, mate, I mean, obviously you used the platform to educate, but obviously we've used the platform to educate with Parker Baits as well.
Yeah.
And although we haven't got the following you've got, at the early stages, and I said to Tom, I was like, mate, I'm not going on TikTok, Tom. It's for the younger generation. We've got enough platforms. You're on your Instagram, your Facebook, because there's a lot of platforms, let's be honest.
There's so many, and you can get absorbed into this kind of just whirlwind of this black hole of social media where you just become numb to the thumb scrolling up and down.
Totally agree.
But yeah, they're all there. They all have their place. I mean, you've got your OGs, you've got your YouTubes, which I think for long form content, YouTube's fantastic. I know they try and have the shorts on there. I've dabbled with YouTube a little bit myself, but I haven't got the time to dedicate to everything. But with kind of like your TikTok and your Reels on Instagram, they fit perfectly with that kind of scroll mentality. And if you can do something that's eye-catching, you can
like your rig tutorials, for say scenario's sake, quick. You can digest what's happening, take it in, write a few notes, then come off of your video for say scenario's sakes and actually
give it a go.
Yeah,
absolutely. Just give it a go.
Which I think is absolutely great.
Yeah.
Now, James, thank you very much for your time, mate.
No,
I
you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
No
And
problem at all.
we don't really get much time together, and it's always like a passing through thing at the show, isn't it? So it really is a pleasure, mate.
We're at the show next week.
We are.
We're at the show next
week. It's going to be good. So the big one show. So that video will probably even be out by now. So if you haven't seen that video, go over, or stay tuned because it will be coming on the channel. Make sure you go over and check out this gentleman's social media at the top of the screen. But just before we leave you, mate, I've got to throw in some Parker Baits here.
Of course
so talk
we do,
me through them, mate.
Absolutely.
I'm putting myself on the spot there and haven't paid him prior to this. So talk me through some of your favourite products from Parker Baits.
Well, to be honest, you've got such a fantastic range. But what I really love about your products is that you've really kind of focused on kind of two key areas of flavours.
Yep.
And I think that's really important. But you've got everything from your wafters to your pop-ups to your bottom baits.
Yep.
And I'm quite a simple angler. I kind of stick to 2 or 3 main rigs.
Okay.
So for me, it can boil down to what colours or flavours I'm using at certain venues. And
Love that.
You've got a box that can be ticked for each of that.
Oh, mate, much appreciated.
I mean, today I'm fishing solid bags. Hopefully it'll come up on the screen in a second.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm finished.
He's done this before, hasn't he?
I'm fishing solid bags with a little yellow magic bean.
Do you prefer the 12s or do you prefer the 15s?
I'm actually fishing the bigger ones at the moment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What made you do that, if you don't mind me asking?
I've just, I've probably been scared off by bream where I normally fish.
Right, yeah.
I think I've been known as the bream machine in times gone by. So it's a little bit of like PTSD with bream, I think.
Yeah.
So just keep something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And I don't find that kind of hinders my chances too much.
Love that.
And on my other rig that I'm fishing on my left rod today, I've got a little Fluoro D with just a little snowman. And again, I'll show you on the screen what I'm using on that. But
Love that.
I mean, Parker Baits, you guys, you've got fantastic. I like the way that you've got the coatings on the boilies that break down.
Thank you.
I've done some tests in tanks at home and some little time lapses.
Just something a little bit different, mate.
It's just a little bit of extra attraction. And if you play the percentages, you know, you're just giving yourself that extra edge the best that you can.
Mate, that's very kind words, mate. I really appreciate it.
Worries
And I'm going to bring it up. You've got a nice pouch of leads down
I
there,
have
mate.
got a nice little pouch of leads down here. Now I'm going to take this little rig out. Now this little pouch, I'm probably guilty of bringing far too many, but in here, that's one I made earlier. But most important,
do you mind if I have a look? So you've actually run that around then, so that lead actually ejects.
We've got drop-off style on that one.
Drop-off style. Oh, magic bean, yellow, 15mm, like you said. Nice short link there as well, beautiful. I must say, mate, I'd use that myself. And a lovely, oh my God, lovely sharp hook as well. Sorry, carry on, mate. Yeah.
But I think coming back to the point you were trying to make there, Ben, is Parker Baits leads. Now, if anyone's buying leads, you'll know how expensive they are. And let's be honest, we lose a few.
We do, mate. So like you said earlier, dropping them off. All right, you have the odd cast and one maybe comes off as well.
You get the odd crack off. If you do like, I mean, we're all different. Some people don't like to drop the leads. One of the venues that I fish at is really, really weedy. So it's imperative. You have to drop the leads.
For sure.
Just for fish safety and just to give yourself the best chance of getting that fish up through the weed and getting it back to the net.
So go on, favourite lead out of our range?
Oh, favourite leads. Do you know?
Put you on the spot.
Do you know what?
Heli.
It's that
6mm
little bad
ring.
boy.
Lovely, yeah, it's devastating in right, and also being that you've got I love the 6mm rings on the top, it also limits your movement as well, because if you've got a swivel and it actually gives you a little bit more movement, it brings that right down, and obviously perfect for the heli scenario, and we offer them in various sizes, but yeah, it's nice to actually bring up the leads, because a lot of people think we're a bait company, but actually we're a lot better than that, a lot bigger than that in regards to what we sell, and that is one of them things is leads, and we sell bloody loads of them at the Parker Baits store, mate, and Tik Tok, etc. But on the back of what you just said there, our leads are cheap. You know, we on our website, 10 for a tenner, Tom, isn't it? 10 for a tenner. And yeah, very well made, decent leads, but also not breaking the bank, because there's a lot of companies out there charging a lot for leads.
And I will say as well, just to add to what you've just said, you know, leads are leads at the end of the day. And
Amen.
you said they're cheap, but I've bought cheap leads in the past,
right?
And the quality has been horrendous.
That's interesting.
And if you look at the quality of these leads, you know, you look at the coating, the finish. I mean, every single one I've picked up, and I've never picked up a dud. They are just fantastic quality.
That means the world to us.
So you know, you've got the word cheap, and you've got the word, or the phrase, value for money, and I think these definitely tick that box.
That means the world, James. That truly
does.
So there it is.
They're great leads.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Honestly, it really does mean the world. So there it is, a bit more on our leads, a little bit more on James and how he fishes, and obviously we've touched on the Tik Tok as well. So again, I'm going to shake your hand, mate. I'm going to thank you again.
Cheers,
I
Ben.
appreciate everything you do for us, mate.
At all.
And I'm sure a future relationship that's going to last a long, long time. I'm looking forward to where it all goes. Mate.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to hopefully putting a few on the bank this week.
Fingers crossed.
But I think they're all over there.
Yeah, they are, mate. They are. There's different pods. Obviously, you said we were joining you. We're on B1 now, and it's been hard. It truly has. But that's fishing.
A couple coming out from across the way.
But hopefully you've enjoyed the social, mate.
I've had a great time.
Aside.
At the end of the day, fishing's fishing.
Yeah.
And it's nice just to get out after a week at work and just have a bit of chill.
Lovely. So there it is, James. Right, well, you join me with Scarlett, another lady on the Parker Baits YouTube channel. It really is nice, it truly is. So, mate, you've been with us now, I think about 1.5 2 years, quite a while. And
Yeah.
look, I greatly appreciate everything you do. You've got a massive social following and I really appreciate it. But let's be honest, Scarlett, there's a lot of bait companies out there, isn't there? There's a lot of terminal tackle companies and a lot of clothing brands. And you've chosen us, and like I said, I greatly appreciate it as a family. Can I ask you why? Something a little bit different.
Yeah, so I used to go fishing with a friend,
Yeah.
and he was always on a parker baits.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd sort of like only just got into fishing,
Right,
didn't
okay.
really know what I was doing. It's sort of like there's so many like options out there, isn't there? Like
Yeah.
sort of.
Oh, there is. It's a minefield. When you
Yeah.
walk into a tackle shop, let's be honest, it's like, where do I start?
Yeah,
Isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah.
So he was using parker baits, so then I started using it on our little local lake.
Yeah.
And basically just started having it off.
Love that. So what were you having them on? What was your...
Fruit and nut, you know, the matcha hatch wafters.
Nice.
I was catching loads on them, and then I got the biggest fish in that lake on a little OG fish matcha.
Have we got any
hatch
pictures of that?
Wafter. I will do.
What I'll do is, I'll put them up on the screen now. There you go. Get out here now. I'll put them up on the screen now. We're one step ahead of the game here. But sorry, carry on, carry on.
Yeah, no, so I caught the biggest fish in the lake on the OG fish.
Love that.
And then through the Instagram, you guys reached out anyway and was like, look, do you want to be sort of part of the team? Like,
Yeah.
you liked what I was doing, so I was like,
I
yeah.
did know, and like I said, you are very good. And let's be honest, you're here the weekend, you're on your own, you've got all the gear. I've never seen a lady with so much gear. You've literally got everything. You've got the full pod set up. She's been putting her. It really is lovely to see. You just get on with it, mate, don't you?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has been fishing hard, but nobody's catching on B1, mate. It's nothing you do.
No,
and
I lost one at the net yesterday as well. I told Rob.
Lost
but
it
I
at
don't
the
know if
net,
he told
at the
you.
net?
Yeah, it was a little. Honestly, it was tiny. But I literally got it at the net, and I must have like put a little bit of like slack in the line or something else. I've like crouched down to grab the net,
don't
and
tell
it's
me
just
that.
pinged off.
Because I come over yesterday and I watched Scarlett, she sits there, she does it all quite refined and it's just lovely to see, it truly is. Now I'm going to finish it off. You've got something in your hands.
Yeah.
Now, I have sort of spoke to Scarlett before we went on video and I sort of said, what is your, so I'm going to say it to you again, what is your favourite Parker Baits product and why, mate, please?
So I feel like most people would probably say the same thing.
Go on.
They've got a bit of a name for themselves.
They
but,
have, the magic
Yeah, the
beans.
magic beans. Yeah, just like so much success on them. Literally since they came out, like
Love that.
it's basically all I use now. Like
Any particular colour?
Yellow's done me really well.
Fruit and nut or fish?
Fruit and nut,
12 or 15 mil?
both.
You like both? That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, mate, I want to thank you again. I'm going to shake your hand. I appreciate your time and cheers for supporting me and my family, Tom, and doing what we do. And I wish you all the best in the future. And I'm sure you're going to see this lady on plenty more Parker Baits socials. If you do see her on the bank, give her a thumbs up. Make sure you give her a follow online. And I'll put all your, so what you got, Instagram?
Instagram,
TikTok?
yeah.
Any other ones, I'll throw them up on the screen now if you're happy with that.
Yeah, of course.
And
yeah.
go over, give her a follow. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Right, well this definitely isn't a stranger to the channel. You've seen Gavin before, one of our good friends, a massive part of One More Cast as well, so you do a lot with One More Cast, mate, don't you?
Yeah, get out on the bank with them, social media, little short reels, nice and punchy.
Yeah, exactly that. So what we're going to do is something completely different. We've went over PVA bags, we went over floater fishing, we've went over social media. Now, the famous Ronnie rig. Now, I'm not going to talk about this, but this is something that you use a lot, mate, and actually last social you managed the PB, tell me if I'm wrong on this?
Correct, PB.
Right, so talk us through that fish. I'm going to pass you the rig, because that is the rig you called it on, and just talk us through the whole concept of it. Obviously, I'd like to recapture back a little bit on the fish itself, because that was exciting. Mate, I was as buzzing as you, mate, on the day. It was just wicked, and what a moment to be there and have and experience it with you. You know, a 40-pounder here on B1, and you were fishing just a little bit further up, mate, weren't you?
Peg 9.
Mega.
But you chase that fish for ages, don't you? That 40-pounder, you work your way up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the session. I say a good peg draw. Emily drew it for me.
She did.
Peg 9, really happy with that. And then the fish were there. Started off on zigs, as you always do. Couple of zigs, one on the bottom. I like to fish both because not all fish are going to be in the bottom. They're going to be in layers.
Yeah.
Always fish 2 and 1. So I'll never have 3 of one out. So
that.
if I'm fishing 2 zigs, 1 on the bottom. If the bottom goes, I can put 2 on the bottom, 1 on the zig. And that was how I did it. I chopped and changed. My baiting approach was crushed boilie with chop worm, crushed OG fish. And I went for that because with me fishing the zigs as well, Obviously a little bit of crumb, a little trickle down the layers.
Love that.
Gives a little bit of cloud as well when you add a bit of liquid in there. And then that puts bait on the bottom for the night time. So on that occasion, I switched over to this rig. Everybody has their preference on number of maggots. Mine's 15.
Love that.
So I trimmed down a OG fish pop-up.
That's the match of the hatch, 15 mil, is it? OG fish, yeah.
OG fish, match the hatch, 15 mil pop-up. I like to trim it because I don't want it round for some reason. For me, I just like it like in a barrel shape.
Fair play, mate. Well, it works because you catch them. You always seem to catch them, mate.
And then I floss on 15 maggots. A lot of people worry about popping the maggots and stuff like that. When you're going to 15 maggots, you're always going to get a few pop. So
that's good advice as well.
Don't worry about it. Just tie them on there. See, this one's been out all night, 14 hours.
And they're still. That's been out. And they're still alive. Look at them going. They're wriggling as well.
Yeah. So that's been out for 14 hours. I pulled it in this morning. And then
so just moving down off the bait then, mate, even starting from the mic, is that a micro ring swivel there?
Yeah.
So talk us through from that part down, because I'm sure the viewers are interested, and as am I.
So how I set this rig up for me, it's a Lynx, OMC Lynx. It's a fuse leader. It comes with the anti-tangle sleeve and the little dog bone sinker, but I just add a little bit more putty on there. And it's the Dazzler range. Devastating lock hook. Everybody loves the lock hook. If you don't know about the lock hook, where you been hiding?
Yeah, you know.
But yeah, every bit of my angling's with that lock hook now, whether it's zigs, bottom bait, solid
Did you
bags.
change the size of the hook if you were fishing a zig?
Correct. I go down to an 8. So I like to keep my zigs nice and small, go for an 8, size 8 on them, and then size 6. A lot of people go bigger, but I never ever use bigger than a 6.
Bigger's not always better, mate,
No,
is it?
I like to be as discreet as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I go from there. I then, as you'll see from this one, I then trim down my...
Blue Peter style is one I made earlier.
Trim down the OG fish 15mm pop-up, a little bit of floss on that bait, and then I leave that string out ready for my maggots. I don't tie it up and leave the maggots on there. I literally, just before I cast out, I'll floss on the 15 maggots and then cast it.
So being in a match scenario like we are now, you can be very quick with your, well, you get a fish, bang, all you're literally doing is, like you said, just putting the maggots and you get a rod straight back out on the spot, which is very clever from a match scenario, because like you said, yes, it's seconds, but extra seconds could mean everything in a match, can't it?
Especially this time of year as well. You've probably got the fish in your swim for what, 2-3 hours if you're lucky.
100% agree, particularly on these lakes. So they move over you and then they're gone.
And if you ain't put enough bait out to keep them there, you need to capitalise while they're there.
I agree. One thing I will say, mate, with my own angling, I haven't used the One More Cast one. I use a Gemini one, but them fused booms, mate, have changed my angling. I think when you drop them in the water, they almost turn invisible straight away. Now, you can use a crimp, but me personally, now the fuses have come out and that fused end, like I said, it's just changed out. I'd rather use that over a crimp. A crimp's never going to slip, I know, but it could. That's not going to slip, that fuse.
And let's face it, as a carp angler, you crimp a boom and you lose a fish, who are you blaming? Yourself.
That's a good way of putting it across. Yeah, I love
it. If the fuse goes, you're going to blame OMC.
True. And no, massive shout out to One More Cast as well. OMC, I mean, they've really have made a name for themselves in the fishing industry over the duration of the last couple of years. And like I said, fair play to them and massive respect. And like you said, it's nice to obviously integrate all the brands. You're a massive part of them, but you're also a massive part of Parker Baits, mate, as well. And I'll forever thank you for supporting me and my brother and my family. And it's lovely that you come with your daughter to the socials. You always enjoy it. She's brilliant, your daughter as well, mate. Always smiling, getting involved, catching the fish as well. It's wicked. So
it's nice when she get the waders on and she gets out.
Mate, I love seeing it. It's just great. And this is what the Parker Baits socials are all about. But mate, I'm going to leave it at that. And I just want to thank you. I will shake your hand. No, thanks for going over that. Gavin again on the channel. You can't get away from this face. I'm telling you now. And
I'll see you at the next social.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'll see you at the show next week. And go over. And if you haven't tried a Ronnie, take a little bit of Gavin's advice and go over, make one of these yourself and use it in your own angling and see if it puts any nosser pigs on the bank. Well, I really do hope you've liked that, guys. Something a little bit different to the Parker Baits YouTube channel. You know, week in, week out, we upload. We're always putting up videos on our channel. But I just think it'd be nice, or was nice, to just a little bit different. Speaking to people, you know, some ladies as well on there, how they fish. Maybe the do's and the don'ts to a degree of some people that have mentioned bits and bobs throughout this videos. You know, the concept of a PVA bag, a Ronnie rig, like we've just gone over. You know, simple things but done well can put big fish on the bank. And also just the respect that I have for not only our staff, but obviously the customers up and down the country, which you've seen and have been obviously speaking in this video today. I truly have got massive respect, because Parker Baits wouldn't be Parker Baits without the support you guys give us. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really does mean the world to me and my family. So there it is, another Sunday upload, and I hope you've liked it. If you have, give us a thumbs up, make sure you comment down below, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos going forward. And I'll see you all next Sunday for an absolute banger. B1 Social, mate. Oh, and B2. See you in a bit. Yes.